So for our next talk, I want to ask everyone a question. What does hip hop have to do with science and innovation? And our next segment is about hip hop STEM. So joining us is the hip hop MD, Mr. Maynard Okereke. Mr. Okereke is an alumni of the University of Washington with a degree in civil engineering. He is an award-winning science communicator. He has received the Asteroid Award for Best Streaming Content and the People of Change Award for his community outreach efforts. And he now uses his knowledge of science to help inspire minorities and youth by bridging the gap between music, entertainment, and science, encouraging more diverse involvement in the STEM fields. So inspiring the next generation of scientists, presenting the Hip Hop MD.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me, see me okay? What's up, everybody? It is a pleasure to be here. I want to thank the amazing organizers that reached out to me. I think it's about maybe a month or so ago and told me about this conference. And, you know, as a UW alum, I'm always down to support my fellow dogs, my fellow Huskies. So it is a pleasure to be here and be able to speak to all of you. I want to keep this really engaging and fun and lively. I got some slides that I'm going to share for you guys, but I don't want to focus too much on the slide because I want to be able to talk to you and be able to answer all your questions, because my role here for this event is to get y'all hyped, get y'all energized, get y'all motivated and inspired to continue doing the work that you're doing. I know all of you are in different positions. We got some high school students in here. We got some undergrad students in here. Maybe you're trying to figure out the direction of your future. Maybe trying to figure out, hey, are the STEM fields the fields for me? Maybe you're trying to transition to another career path. Wherever you're at, my goal here is to be able to give you some cool information, give you some energy, give you some inspirational thoughts, at least share my story and my journey into STEM, and hopefully kind of give you some inspiration that will help you as you pursue your journey. And obviously keeping the theme in mind when we're talking about global health and me as a science communicator doing the work that I do. A lot of this ties in so much with our understanding of global health and just overall where we're at in society globally when we think about all these different issues that affect us, especially when it comes to diversity, when it comes to inclusion, and then when it comes to just the pursuit of the STEM fields in general. And so I want to keep this fun. I try to make some polls here. I was having some technical glitches in here, but if I don't get the polls up, I had some people assisting me here in the background, but I might just reach out to y'all in the chat and see if y'all want to drop some questions or give some shout outs or put some hands ups or something like that. I can't see y'all faces in here. I see a lot of names. I see some faces in here, but I'll be trying to talk to you like I can see you in person. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my slides because I'm sure a lot of you are probably familiar. Who is this crazy guy? What does this hip hop science have to do with global health and all these different things? So I'm going to give kind of a little intro about me, myself, how I got into STEM, a little bit about my platform, Hip Hop Science, and then go into some areas that I think will be very topical and hopefully kind of inspire you, because I know everybody's in different positions right now in their journey. So I'm going to start sharing my slides here. And we will see. Let me know once I start sharing if you guys are able to see everything. All right, you can just give me a thumbs up. All right, let's see here. How's this? Can y'all see my slides? Awesome. Cool. So obviously, you can find me at Hip Hop Science Show. If anybody wants to reach out later on with any additional questions or wants to kind of dig into some of the additional work that I do, you can find me on all social media platforms at Hip Hop Science Show. But I have this theme that I talk about a lot when I do presentations, and it's called Curiosity is Nature's PhD. Yes, curiosity is nature's PhD. That's a phrase that I go by because curiosity has really opened the doors for so many amazing things that I've been able to do in my career, especially as I've gotten to science communication work, and even in my pursuit of my engineering degree, and kind of this kind of roundabout journey to get to where I'm at. And so I want to be able to inspire y'all to be curious, ask questions, and be fully engaged in everything around you, because you never know what new doors might open just from you asking questions. All right. So a little bit about me and kind of how I started into this platform. I wasn't always necessarily the hip hop MD doing science work. I actually originally started out as a music artist. Music was my first passion, my first love. I performed as an artist, toured, worked with multiple artists, did a lot of recording work in the studio. Music was my outlet. It was my way for me to be creative and be able to tell stories and be able to perform. I love kind of being center of attention, being the spotlight and bringing that energy to audiences, if y'all couldn't tell. So that was my very first passion, my very first love. But along with being a music guy, I was also a science nerd, right? I grew up just loving Nat Geo, Discovery Channel. When in high school, I had started actually this show that we did on a public access channel. We were helping students with homework. And I just loved exploring all areas of science. And I said, curiosity is nature's PhD. These were kind of the things, the questions that I asked to just get me curious about the world around me. And I actually went to school originally to be a wildlife scientist, ended up going to civil engineering. And I'll kind of tell a little bit about that story a little bit later on. But I got my degree at the University of Washington in Seattle and ended up working with Turner Construction after doing a number of small internship stints, the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, also at the Environmental Protection Agency, did a nuclear engineering internship for a while before I decided to join Turner and work on a lot of large infrastructure projects. I was working on condominium projects, big data center projects for Microsoft, and also did the Seattle Rent-A-Car facility. Anytime you guys go and rent a car by the airport there, that was one of my main projects that I did, headquarters for Nintendo, a lot of amazing projects there in our hometown of Seattle. But while I was also doing that work, I was still looking for ways to be able to be creative and express myself creatively. So while we're doing music, I also got into entertainment as well and started doing work in acting. I was doing a lot of commercial work locally, doing a lot of theatrical work in the Seattle area. And some opportunities opened up for me in Los Angeles, where I'm at right now. And I did this whole 180 switch, took a leap of faith and moved down to Los Angeles to pursue some opportunities in acting. And while I was out here doing a lot of film work, a lot of independent films, short film work, different projects, I always wanted to find a way to continue to give back and support my fellow scientists and people in general that were wanting to get into STEM, because I noticed there weren't a lot of people that looked like me that just had this love for science. And so I accumulated all of my knowledge, all of my passions in music and acting and comedy and entertainment to create this hip hop science platform to do the work that I do now. Social media kind of knows me as the hip hop MD. But basically, I use music, entertainment, comedy to educate on a wide variety of scientific topics. I touch on everything from astronomy to biology, math, physics. If it's STEM related, I'm on it. And I find it was a great way to be able to engage and connect with people and really be able to bring education in a new and inspiring way that could be able to reach the masses. And so that's kind of the crazy story of me becoming the hip hop MD. So I want to talk a little bit about the work that I do in science communication, because I know for some of you, and maybe this might be a good time to kind of throw that poll in there that we created in the back of maybe who knows what science communication is. I asked this because it's a very general question, and I know we got a lot of people that are interested in health and everything right now here. So this may be a better audience that may be familiar with this. But a lot of people just aren't, right? And maybe there are high school students in here that are wondering, I've heard about this science communication around, but what exactly is this? And so we're throwing that poll up there. So it's kind of cool seeing the numbers that are going on the poll. And this is actually great, because when I came into this, I didn't really know what science communication was. Even when I was doing my hip hop science work and I was already making content and sharing on social media, I still didn't even know that I was doing science communication. But historically, if we think about what is SciComm, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with these two individuals right here on the screen. Yes, that is Neil deGrasse Tyson, your favorite astrophysicist. And then, of course, we got Bill Nye. A lot of us may have grown up on Bill Nye. For younger generation, maybe you've seen Bill Nye in later programming, but that's the OG right there of science communication. Bill Nye being able to bring science to television. these are kind of your familiar science communicators. And when we talk about science communication, I see here on this poll, about 71% here are saying no, don't know what science communication is. That's crazy, especially when we're here on this platform talking about global health and all these different things. So I'm actually excited that I can share a little bit about science communication here on this platform. So these are kind of the OGs in science communication. And really, when you think about it, it's really just as it's stated, right? Science communication is communicating science to the masses, right? Fundamentally and kind of historically, we've looked at scientists as not being the proper ones to be able to go out and give information, right? To be able to communicate to everyday people. And science communication is really taking these complex topics that we talk about, especially when it comes to health and biology and physics and all these different things, and be able to discuss them in an easy and understandable and palatable way that the whole kind of global audience can understand and relate to and to be able to connect to. It's about giving the public proper information, utilizing your scientific expertise regardless of whatever field that is in. It could be in engineering, you can be an astrophysicist, you can be a biologist, you can be a geneticist, and also still be a science communicator. People are actually getting degrees right now in science communication. I know a lot of universities are opening up the doors for actual degrees in science communication. One of my good friends that I do the STEM program with, she's the first ever woman to get a PhD, the first ever person actually to get a PhD in science communication at Vanderbilt University. And so there's kind of a new wave of science communicators that are coming out there, and there's so many more opportunities to really be able to get professional expertise in science communication. But anybody can really be a science communicator, it's taking your scientific knowledge and being able to inform the public, being able to draw excitement, spark curiosity, to be able to explain different scientific topics in a fun, interesting, and palatable and relatable way. Anytime you read a science news magazine, there's probably a science communicator that drafted up that article or that journal, right? And be able to now bring some new topic, some new thing that's happened in the world of science, and be able to present it in a way that we can all understand. Science communicators really had a really big impact, especially when it came to this global pandemic that we've been dealing with for the past couple of years. And I think science communication really showed its roots and showed its importance during this time, because this was the most crucial time to be able to get proper information out to the masses, right? You think about early on, all of the misinformation that was out there, and obviously things kept changing. And we as scientists, we know that that's how it works, right? Science evolves. As we learn new things, we adapt and we continue to grow. Right? Early on, we weren't really talking about masks. And then we started realizing, yes, masks are the best way to prevent us from spreading this infection, right? And then all these different things that accumulated, washing hands, all these different things, right? We had to be able to bring this knowledge to the people out there, and everyday people that weren't familiar with the medical topics or familiar with the viral aspects of everything that's going on with the pandemic. They can listen to experts. They can listen to people that are on social media platforms. They can go to different social media channels like YouTube, Instagram, all these different areas, and try to get proper information so that we can make sure that we're doing the things appropriately to be able to stop the spread of this pandemic. And so that was a very perfect example during this time, especially when we talked about our lack of belief in science, right? And breaking those kind of stereotypes and those norms of what people thought science was. And this was a really divisive time in a way, right? Because now we had to be able to show this is the evidence, this is the facts, this is the way that we can slow down this pandemic. Science communicators, especially through social media, and I'll kind of talk about specific ones that really helped this time develop and nurture. So I'm glad y'all joined in that poll and actually shared whether or not it was science communication. We can chat about that a little bit later if you want me to go more in depth on that in questions later on. But that in a nutshell is science communication, be able to now bring information to the masses in an easy, palatable way that everybody can understand, and not just expert scientists. So with that being said, I want to tap into a little bit about my kind of work in science communication and kind of the different things that some of you that are kind of going through your different routes, regardless of whatever career fields you're taking on, kind of where this can go for you, okay? Embracing technology. I really want to kind of talk a little bit about this, right? Because we're in this stage right now where we have access to social media. We have access to new innovation, right? And technology is really changing the world. right? The way that we're going to be able to advance, the medical advancements that are happening right now, the technological advancements, the fact that we can be here in all different parts of the world and we're communicating through Zoom, right? And have all this technology that's pivotal in helping us kind of, get to that next stage. Knowledge is power, right? Embracing that technology is very important and unique because there's come so many different challenges when we talk about how do we actually embrace technology. There's the moral aspect of different things that we got to think about, especially when it comes to the medical field and being able to now present things appropriately. We have to think about those aspects. All these different things affect stuff in different ways, okay? And particularly when we talked about social media, and I showcased a little image there, that's me with Dr. Cyan Proctor. Some of you may be familiar with her, first Black woman to ever pilot a spacecraft, all right, as she went on the Inspiration 4 trip to outer space last year. One of my good friends, and she's absolutely amazing. But there's so many different science communicators that are on platforms, and I'm sure you've seen some of them on TikTok, on Instagram, people communicating about space, people communicating about genetics, all sorts of different areas. We have a really big community of science communicators that are out there presenting unique scientific information in a unique way. And I asked that question about, do you know what science communication is, to kind of segue into this next poll, which is the importance of social media when it comes to global health. All right. So I'll be interested to see kind of your perspectives on this. People are starting to put answers in the poll right now. It's about 80% think social media is very important. About 20% think moderately important. I'm glad I see 0 in there. All right. Because we don't want people not thinking. This is really unique, right? Because sometimes social media can be a little divisive. We think about social media in a particular way, right? We talk about things like YouTube and TikTok, and a lot of times we consume these medias as just entertainment value. These are just things that maybe in our pastime, we watch some funny videos, we laugh, we put a little funny comment or emoji, and then we move on to the next thing. We just kind of browse. But we're starting to realize that social media is really a useful tool for us to be able to generate so many different things. And I'll just play this video. Don't worry, there's no sound in there. This will just kind of play in the background while I'm talking. Because this can kind of include some clips of different things that I've been able to do through my social media work with my hip hop science platform and the different things that I've been able to communicate. I asked this question in the poll of whether we think science communication is important because it is one of the most useful tools that we have right now to communicate science. And especially when we talk about global health and the impacts and the knowledge and the different things that we have to be familiar with, we have to use social media as a tool to be able to communicate, especially when we're talking about the younger generation and be able to now reach out to students that are in elementary school and working their way up. We have to be able to meet students where they're at. What things are they consuming? And many times that is social media. That is where they're at. So be able to engage and be able to bring proper information to platforms like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram is crucial in order to be able to now spread a general massive understanding about science. We have to be able to utilize these tools, right? The accessibility, we all have access to our phones, we have access to all these different media, and that is why it's so crucial now to be able to take all these social media platforms that we have and be able to find unique ways to be able to bring that to the masses. And even just for all of you, right? Eventually you get into your career. Some of you may, are going to pursue PhDs, all sorts of different things. We talk about really celebrating scientists and celebrating expertise, scientific expertise. And I talk a lot about this in my platform of really bringing science as celebrities, right? And talking as scientists as celebrities, because we should be celebrated as that. The importance of the work that we do, the excitement that we bring, the knowledge that we bring, the health saving and the world saving, humanity saving technology that we bring to the table, from engineering to all these different health fields, is so important to be able to now bring that to the masses, and social media is a relevant tool to be able to do that. So next, I want to talk a little bit about a topic that's really important, and especially here for a lot of the organizing. We talked a little bit about this as we were pre-planning, kind of just the importance of diversity when it comes to these topics, especially when we're talking about global health, right? The diversity and inclusion element. I alluded to this a little bit at my intro of my kind of crazy journey coming into STEM. I actually went to University of Washington originally to study wildlife science. I wanted to be a wildlife biologist. That was my first love. I used to just love exploring, used to love wildlife. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I got into school and I had a lot of educators, I had a lot of peers that dissuaded me from pursuing that. They said there'd be no opportunities in that for me. There'd be no financial opportunities to grow. And it wasn't just that financial element. It was also the fact that there weren't any representative figures that looked like me, people that they could identify and point to and say, oh, that's someone that looks like you, that's doing something it is that you want to do, right? And a lot of times we kind of forget that representation is so key when it comes to us going into these fields. And especially for those that are in high school right now and looking to work their way up, it's really important to be able to see those figures, see those faces. And we have some of those right here, right now in this chat, right? From different diverse backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds. And just like in nature, diversity is so important. Having these kind of enriched, diverse environments and ecosystems is pivotal for growth. And it's the same thing for humanity. To be able to have people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different walks of life, different genders, to be able to bring their knowledge and expertise to the table is so important. And that's important in science communication. That's important in your work as you're pursuing your PhDs. That's important in your work as you're pursuing your different health fields, as you're just entering into college, into different areas. It is so important to always have that at the forefront. And this intersectionality of everything, right? Because it ties in when we talk about racial justice and intersection of politics and science, right? And we saw that in this global pandemic, the disproportional rates that people are affected, especially in medicine, the disproportional effects of people of color in these different communities is so important to be cautious about and so important to think about when we are really facing these challenges. And we as science communicators have really responsibility to society to really be able to uphold these and bring these to the table. Earlier, I believe one of our doctors at the beginning, talked about climate change. And a lot of times we think about this as just kind of a world problem, but it's also a cultural and diversity problem as well, too, because we know that different communities of color are disproportionately affected, especially when it comes to climate change in different areas, right? And so kind of thinking about that future impact and how that's going to affect the world. And when we think about global health, how these different disproportional rates that people of color are affected, it's important to bring that to the table and to be able to have an awareness of that as you're pursuing your careers, as you're doing science communication work, as you're doing your work overall, to be able to be conscious about these effects and how people are affected differently, and to be able to bring your own knowledge and expertise to the table as well. And so I'll end this with this slide, a little bit about why STEM. This is my last spiel of inspiration and excitement and energy to all of you as you're really trying to figure out what next steps are you going? What are you trying to do? Why is this field important for me? Why are we having a whole conference here talking about global health, right? The reason we're having this is because the STEM fields are so crucial in our future. This is how we're going to grow. The STEM fields are the leading fields in innovation. When we talk about technology, we talk about engineering and design, the STEM fields are the forefront of that. The opportunities that you're going to be able to excel and succeed, regardless of whatever field you're going to. STEM incorporates science, technology, engineering, math, and that umbrella encompasses so many different things. And that's what's so exciting about the STEM fields. There's so many areas that you can explore, vast opportunities that you can be able to dive in and get curious about. The growth, the technology, the opportunities that are available there are so profound. And it's really important that we stress this, especially for those that are in college right now, reaching back and becoming mentors and be able to support others that are now going to take that same path and bringing them up so that they have an understanding of these opportunities and make sure that they can excel in them as well. And these are just kind of some last minute tips for those that are, interested in getting into these fields, because I've been able to do some unique things. Like I talked about, curiosity is nature's PhD, me asking questions, wanting to know more. I've been able to explore so many unique things through my hip hop science platform, so many awesome collaborations, meeting people from astronauts to inventors, to medical professionals in all walks of life, all across the globe, just by me asking questions, becoming curious and really pursuing my passion. I have this phrase, when you find your passion, it becomes your purpose and you can no longer be passive. And I know a lot of times we get into these pitfalls where we feel like there's no opportunities, that we're not going to be able to have a way to be successful or be able to grow. And I want to be able to implore to all of you that just by exploring and doing what you love, and bringing your authenticity and bringing your energy to that table is going to open up so many doors for you. It's going to be able to now create a pathway that you're going to be able to now succeed in. And bring that curiosity to the table, bring that energy, bringing that love of exploration and wanting to know more and collaborating with your peers. Even just in this platform right now, I'm sure you'll probably be sharing some of this content on the sites and different things like that. Being able to connect with people that are here in this room, in this chat, all these different things, right? Be able to bring that community together and be able to kind of showcase your skills and grow together and see some of the amazing work that everybody's doing. Because I guarantee you there are going to be multiple people that are in this conference right now that are going to be game changers, that are going to change the face of science in so many unique ways. And so being able to now bring yourself to that table and not being scared to be able to showcase yourself, be able to showcase your roots, be able to showcase your knowledge, be able to showcase your love for science. Because for the longest time, I always felt that I had to compartmentalize my love for science, my nerd side, right? I couldn't really showcase that, especially coming up and being into music and being into entertainment and all these different fields. They weren't really that inclusive, right? I always looked at them as mutually exclusive things, and I always had to be one or the other. And the Hip Hop Science platform for me was a chance for me to be able to bring all of my unique elements to the table, and all of you can do that in unique and interesting ways by just adapting and also being able to now bring your own full conscious and love to that table. And so I hope this was inspirational. I hope this kind of gave you some tips, some energy, some ways that you can now be able to express yourself and be able to now go creatively in your own journeys. Hopefully there's some questions that you guys may have or for a little bit about my background, maybe some thoughts about science communication work that I can hopefully answer for you all. And of course, you can always reach out to me on social media or different platforms, or I'm sure the organizers will share some of my information as well for people that want to reach out. But there's my time here to be able to ask questions or answer questions from all of you. And thank you so much once again for having me. This is amazing. And I'm excited to kind of see some of the other speakers and the other things that you guys have lined up for the rest of this conference. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okereke, for this energetic and fascinating presentation. So we'll now take a few questions.
So the first question is, especially with the COVID vaccines, there's so much misinformation out there. How can young people act as science communicators, ambassadors to others in their community?
Yes, that's a fantastic question. And that's one that comes up a lot, especially when we talk about this pandemic, because a lot of times it can be a very sensitive issue depending on who you're talking with. And I think not just with the pandemic, but science in general, the first process is to speak with empathy, right? It's to speak with an understanding, be able to know that people come from different backgrounds, people come from different walks of life, and their introduction into this scientific topic can be affected by so many different things. Early on this pandemic, by the time we started getting vaccines and different things like that, even within the Black community, right? There had been historically all these different things within the medical fields that affected us in a different way, right? You talk about Tuskegee experiments and all these different things. And so there was an extra level of sensitivity to even taking the vaccine within a specific community, right? And depending on where you're at around the globe, or even just here in the US, the way that you presented certain things or your understanding or your beliefs are affected by so many different things, racially, socially, religiously, all these different areas. So to be able to now speak with empathy and be able to understand, know where people are coming from, know what different things affect them is the very, very first step. And then leading people towards the right information. A lot of times, if you don't have that right information, there's always somebody with expertise that you could always lead somebody to. During this time, while I was doing a lot of social media content, engaging people in science, for me, I didn't want to touch on the pandemic because that wasn't my level of expertise. I was still even learning information from all the other science communicators that were out there. And I found some amazing science communicators that were doing some incredible work, highlighting things that are going on in the pandemic. And people would reach out to me with questions, and I'd alley hoop. I say, this is who you need to go to. This is where you need to find the proper information. These are the ways that you can need to be able to segue this knowledge into something that's going to be more profound, that will be able to enlighten you a little bit more. And so even just that ability to be able to communicate and be able to know where the resources at, know your tools that are around you is a really important step. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you so much. So it is 10 o'clock, so I think that we won't have time for any more questions, but thank you so much for this amazing presentation, very inspirational, and I'm sure that it's inspired so many of the young people here to explore science communication as a possible field to go into.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much for having me. It is like 100 degrees here in LA, so I'm over here sweating and my energy was all over the place. So I appreciate y'all for having me. Appreciate y'all taking the time to do this conference. And like I said, everybody that's here right now, take advantage of this, right? Take the advantage of this opportunity to be able to connect with your peers, network, build, and be able to hopefully utilize these resources as you navigate your future careers. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.